So one of my goals, or one of my philosophies, is I want to teach horses how to think and not what to think. And one of the ways to really get them how to think is to make sure that we've got this attitude is that pressure is not a negative thing, all right? There's not really much wrong with pressure. It's just lack of release. When a horse understands pressure and they realize that pressure is information and it's not criticism or punishment, what it is it's the horse's understanding. Whoop, the camera's gone. That's okay. I could see it like wiggling a bit and then all of a sudden. All right, try again. So one of my philosophies, or one of the concepts that I really try to abide by, is I want horses to learn how to think and not what to think, okay? And one of the only ways that they can learn to do that is to navigate pressure. If a horse understands that pressure is information and it's not threatening, or it's not a criticism, or it's not punishment, they realize that it's purely information, it then gets very easy to explain to them that when I add pressure, I have an outcome and I want you to offer something, and when you even at least try, I will give you a release. Then you start realizing that over the period of time, horses can start grasping pressure as a concept, and when you put pressure on them, they just get playful, exuberant, or more willing, or just get to where they offer lots of stuff. If you look at the great sort of leadership coaches and stuff in the world, what they really do is dig deep into people's psyche and try to get them to understand how to navigate stressful situations and how to operate under pressure to where you get comfortable with being uncomfortable until you're comfortable, okay? So what I'm getting at with that is that a horse like this is a Australian stock horse gelding called Showtime, one of my horses that haven't had for all that long, but had come to us trying to better understand pressure. And my goal with him is to try to get him to understand pressure, because he's got a very high flight response. And so when you add pressure, he always thinks away. He thinks that pressure just means escape and leave. So this little exercise I'm going to show you is to prove that when you add pressure, you could get horses to move away from pressure, but you could also get them to come towards pressure. Or the opposite would be a drive away or draw towards. So you have two major systems. There's the drive and then there's the draw. And if you teach horses to make contact with pressure, or almost come to pressure, like when you take contact in a bridle, you want the horse to come to pressure. When you ask the horse to stick close to you, asking them to come to pressure. When you ask them to move away from you, asking them to drive away from pressure. Okay? So this is a really simple little exercise, but what it is it's like a sticking to me game. So if I've got a horsemanship stick or a flag, and I walk, say, to the left, and I put my stick and my string, I prefer to use a stick and string for this exercise because I can reach out behind them. You can see that he's tailing behind me a little bit with my lead rope in my right hand. So I'm going to gently bring up my energy and I'm going to invite him to come towards me. And what I'm trying to do is that when I've done that with this horse before, he's felt that stick and string and he's just tore away and panicked. And so all I would do with him is I would turn away from him and create gentle rhythmic motion with my stick and string. And he thinks it's pressure. Watch, I'm going to turn a bit harder away. I'm going to turn a bit harder away. And what I'm going to reward him for is that when he feels this pressure, if he comes closer to me, there he got closer, I'm going to stop and rub on him. Because what I really want him to learn is that when I'm moving like that and I add a lot of pressure, I'm encouraging him to realize that the pressure is saying draw. It's not saying drive. Don't get panicked and upset. When you feel motion, try not to use that fight-flight side of your brain and try to use the synchronization side of your brain. Like a mare would take her tail and flick a foal on the backside and the foal would go, whoops, sorry, that's because I'm lagging behind. As soon as it catches up to them, the mare just stops swishing the tail and continues to walk. We don't criticize that pressure because it's a horse using it on another horse, and we just start to kind of go, oh, that's natural. But sometimes what happens is it's easy in this landscape of horsemanship that if you use any kind of pressure and it upsets horses, that's bad. Rather than slowly building a rhythm in the pressure until the horse goes, well, obviously getting upset is not changing that. What if I start to think more? What if I offer something? What if I try to come closer? Guess what? Pressure stops. So basically what I want the horses to learn is that the more pressure I add, the more I'm trying to get them to think, the more information there is. Okay? Like if you take someone like a Tony Robbins, if you guys aren't familiar, he's one of the leading kind of self-development experts in the world. He understands that pressure is something that occurs, and it's all about how we navigate that through our natural instincts, how we alter our instincts, how we build our mental and emotional intelligence and capacity to get to where those things become less and less and less intimidating and something that we can almost embrace. If you think about what would it take to rattle somebody like that, when they understand that level of pressure and adversity, and they just think that it's a big game and there's a way to always kind of like make your way through it, make it fun, make it interesting, make it easier. I want the horses to do that, to where when I've got through the foundation, my horses just go, pressure, I don't care. I've just got to where when there's pressure, obviously all I have to do is I have to think and I have to offer stuff. Is Sam asking me to be more exuberant? Is he asking me to be more obedient? Is he asking me to be more playful? To where I'm not ever held ransom to pressure. I've never got horses that kind of go, oh, you can't do that. It's just like, well, they just don't understand yet. And that's this horse. He gets a little bit like, oh, that's too much, that's too much. Even when I'm barely using any. Now, yes, he is sensitive. Yes, I consider his stage and age of learning around pressure. But what I am teaching him is slowly but surely is that even when I'm adding lots of pressure, if you just panic, I might soften that pressure, but it just doesn't change until I feel like you start offering something. There he's coming a bit closer. He's not as good on this eye. He's more touchy on this eye. When you go to get on him and he feels your leg pressure on this side, he gets a bit tight. You got to be a little bit careful with that. But I'm building it more and more to where when the more leg pressure that he feels on that side, the more he learns to just adapt and relax and realize that that pressure's trying to give him information. Good. That was better. So as soon as he felt the stick and string out here behind him, even though it was a little bit, he sped up, but he didn't just shoot off. So watch, I'm going to turn sharp, add pressure. The more he moves away, turn sharp, add pressure. Turn sharp, walk straight, add pressure. As he gets closer, as he gets to like my shoulder, pressure stops. So how could I get it to where when I add a lot of pressure with my stick and string, that the horse hustles around and hooks onto my shoulder and realizes that when I'm using draw pressure, come towards it. It's okay. Be confident about finding the answer. Be playful about finding the answer. Be exuberant about finding the answer. As soon as you get tight and bothered with the pressure, I'm going to change angles, add the pressure. Don't just get snorty and silly. Think about what the pressure's asking, how to navigate pressure. As soon as he even attempts to come closer and not pull away, that pressure stops. Turn around, take my stick and string and rub him with it. I don't want him to feel every time that it moves that it's going to bop him, but when I bring my energy up and I create a little bit of that pressure, now he didn't hug me entirely, but he's starting to work out now that if he stays close, it stops. So when I get to liberty and I add pressure, if I've got a horse, as soon as they feel pressure, they just take off. it really proves that I've got maybe lack of connection, and my horse lacks the understanding of the fact that pressure is information. It's not criticism, punishment, or something to really fear, right? There, he's trying to get closer. Good. Change eyes once more on his good side, adding that pressure. The more he moves away on his good side, more pressure I add. Turn away, add the pressure. Turn away, add the pressure. Don't just go out there mindlessly, because he can get to where he can just circle around you at about 6 or 7 feet, and he just gets mindless about it. That tells me that he's waiting for me to tell him what to think, not how to think. Now, if my intention was for him to go and just trot around out there, that's great. But at the moment, my plan and my intent and the release is determined by him getting closer and trying to come towards what he considers to be pressure. That's really good. He's getting there. Pressure means come closer. Don't just go trotting around out there aimlessly. Think about the release. That's the boy. I like it. And change. Good. Now he's bending, as you can see, he's not bending all that well. His lateral bend around me, he's a bit straight and he's a bit stiff. But that's not my priority just yet. My priority is that he stops getting tight and tensed and panicked about pressure, and then I can communicate more and more with him about rewarding the connection, rewarding more flexion, rewarding more stretch, to where eventually when I swing this stick, he confidently shapes up around me in a playful way, bends his body, stretches his body, and he wants to chase me around on the circle. Regardless of how much pressure I add, he understands that the pressure is an information. If you're interested in more information around some of the topics that you're seeing me cover here on YouTube, please visit www.horsemansblueprint.com.au for more information.